Yeah. Sports reports, no gimmicks, no clowns. 2-5, Mr. Logical, we run this town. Real talk only, no chasing, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout. Mic check, lights flash, game time, stay ready. 2 vets in the zone, keep the pressure real heavy. Big hits, big plays, yeah, we breaking it down. Truth rings in your speakers, every word is the crown. From the north side hustle to that southern flame. Midwest grind, west coast of the game. Sports talk kings, yeah, we wear that crown. Turn it up, let them know it's about to go down. Sports reports, no gimmicks, no clowns. 2-5, Mr. Logical, we run this town. Real talk only, no chaser, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout.
It's about to go down.
Yes. It's Taco Tuesday. It's Cinco de Mayo. It's time for some Lakers and Thunder. We got Cavs and Pistons already on. You are listening to the sounds of Sports Reports Disordered, brought to you by the one and only world-renowned, world-famous, cool, calm, and collected, Nick Bandwagoner, Mr. Logical. And then, of course, over here in the Alamo, I don't know if I'm a Timberwolf, but I go by the name of 2-5. We got second round previews to get to. We got to close some loops on the first round. Like, review, subscribe, share, rate, do all the free things, do all the good things. Liquid Death in your hand, please. And you know what I mean? We are everywhere that you get your podcast. So, check us out. All right. So that happened. Everywhere you look, the 76ers were the belle of the ball. They came back and took out the Celtics in 7 games after being down 3-1. Joel Embiid back. Everything's on the up and up. Even Paul George, like playoff P, made an appearance. And then they went into the Garden last night. Mr. Logical. The New York Knicks are the first team in NBA history to win 3 straight playoff games by 30 or by 25 or more. And if you extrapolate it across those 3 games, they've won those games by a combined 119 points. So, Knicks going to the finals, right?
It's shaping up for them to have a real opportunity. Like, legit, if you think about Cleveland, we talk about the James Harden playoff woes.
Now, 2 field goals and 4 turnovers.
So they're heavily relying on him and Donovan Mitchell. And if one of them's having an off day, that could really throw the game off. Detroit, we saw them struggle with Orlando in the first round. So how much does that carry over? How much film do you watch to say, hey, this is what Orlando was doing to them? I don't think the Knicks have the scores, but I think the way they kind of handle them defensively, maybe that can translate. But the Knicks got a shot. They have 2 guys that could, give you 28 points. Jalen Brunson was damn near perfect the other night. And like I said, they're on this historic run. Sometimes all you need is to get hot. And then you need some fortunate. Sometimes it's injuries to another team that gets the team eliminated. Or in this case with Boston, just kind of poor play down the stretch. I mean, 2 teams blew 3-1 leads in the first round. A lot of things have to happen for you to win a championship. And I think this is an odd scenario for the Knicks to maybe get that monkey off their back.
So would I be fair if I chalked up game 1 to fatigue? Or do you think that the momentum outweighs any fatigue that Philly would have had?
You would think momentum would have like the way Joel Embiid was playing in game 7, you would have thought he was never going to get tired. So I don't think it was that. I think it's just a matter of it might be more rest for the Knicks. I think they just had more rest, and that's one thing. But I don't think like the Sixers just like exhausted themselves in that first round series, and now I just think the Knicks are just hot. I mean, Jalen Brunson was 9 of 12 from 2 and 3 of 6 from 3 or something like that.
Yeah, 27 in the first half. And I thought that, I was a little nervous because Embiid looked like he got his knee buckled at the end of Game 7 against Boston. So I was a little concerned coming into Game 1, but I couldn't have never predicted that they were going to get whooped in that way. You know what I mean? And the good thing that Philly has going for them is not only did they come back from 3-1, but they lost Game 1 of that Boston series by 32 points. And then they came back and won Game 2, and then obviously like the 3-1 comeback. So
but
you can't put your head down.
They didn't have Embiid Game 1. So you can think about the whole Willis Reed moment. We got our star guy coming out of the locker room that's going to, give us energy we need to get over the edge. And it's to me, it didn't even feel like a 3-1 comeback. It felt like it was more back and forth with that Philly-Boston series. I know the number said 3-1, but when Game 7 ended, I didn't think first, oh my God, they just blew a 3-1 lead. I just was watching that game and how Philly was making their run and Boston was clawing back. I thought it was like a really hard-fought game. So I kind of took that, and I thought the whole series played out that way. But at the end, they announced it, and I'm like, oh, they did have a 3-1 lead. And then I thought about the Detroit series and was like, I can't believe these teams with 3-1 leads. But for Philly, like I said, they had Embiid come back. He had the rough game, and then he had the outstanding games. I'm not a big fan of him always falling on the floor. But whatever you got to do to get the calls, you got to get the calls. But yeah,
Well, it's just scary because, Philly is always injury away, from everything just blowing up in their face. You know what I mean? Whether it's Embiid, whether it's Paul George, whoever it might be, somebody's always on the mend. And I think that if they can stay healthy in this series, I think they could push this series to about 6. I don't know if they can necessarily win it. I don't think I see that just because the Knicks don't play as dumb as Boston does, because Boston had chances in Game 7, 1-point game.
99-98 Philly in that Boston series. They took 5 bad consecutive shots. I'm like, you're down 1. Just like Jaylen Brown took 1. It felt like Embiid was getting to them, and everybody wanted to shoot the dagger 3. I'm like, at that point, going up 199 with a dagger layup or pump faking a dunk would have been just as effective as knocking down a 3. But they took 5 bad shots in a row, and then Philly came back down. Maxey with the speed, getting to the rim. Yeah. So, I don't think the Knicks are going to do that. I think Mike Brown's going to say, hey, go to the bucket. Make Embiid, who just got hobbled, guard, because he was hobbled for the last couple of minutes, and they still kept shooting jumpers.
Yeah, Cavs on a 7-0 run. They were down 15 at one point. Now it's down to 4, late third quarter. So I think that I don't know if you can expect Jalen Brunson to go scorched earth like that. You would think that Philly has things in place to tire him out. So maybe you can't stop him offensively, but you attack him on the other end because, and I don't know who you put Jalen Brunson on. He's not quick enough to stick with Maxey. You know what I mean? Like, maybe, but even then you're giving up what? 6-7 inches?
Yeah, but they're not going to run any plays for Oubre. They're not going to put Oubre in the pick and roll action and try to get him the ball to get the mismatch. So
with that being said, why are coaches like this? Because I think that even if I'm just playing 2K, right? I got Jalen Brunson on me. Let me back him down. Why don't
the Hawks did it every game that the Hawks won. The commentators were making notes like they want to get Jalen Brunson involved in all this action. But if he's guarding Edgecombe or if he's guarding Maxey, then I think you can make that work. But if he's not, then you're going to be targeting him with probably your only non-shooter on the floor that he's probably guarding. Like how Luka does. Sometimes Luka guards a guy that doesn't really shoot much. Getting that guy into action, especially when he doesn't have the green light, it might just be a waste of possession. You might just take your matchup that you have with Hart on Maxey or Hart on Edgecombe or Mikal Bridges or however that works out. But yeah,
Well,
you
see,
can
for
hide
me,
them.
and that's where the series lies because, how often can you keep Cat on the floor to guard Embiid? Like foul trouble, just, like you can't guard him. I don't think that Cat can guard Embiid consistently enough to make it a threat, but he has to make Embiid pay on the other end. So which one outweighs which? Is it Cat's scoring ability or is it he really needs to lock into Embiid?
Or you might have to give him the Jalen Brunson treatment and put Embiid in all the action to see if that right side action.
Well, remember, we
See how they
talked
were
about
stretching
that
him
the
out?
last
They had
time
him on
these
the
two.
floor. Yeah, they had him on the floor and they were stretching him out. And then, like you said, in the game 7, someone fell into.
I think Maxey
remember
ran into his knee. I think it was Maxey.
So he's a little hobbled there. But I just figured just a guy who's gonna get he does get hit a lot. I do think he flops a little bit. I think he embellishes sells a little bit more. But he does get hit a lot. He plays to a lot of contact. He does a lot of backing guys down. They put a lot of
Brown
big
don't like that.
bodies on him. Some of those calls, like the dude Rodriguez is probably 220. And B's like falling down. It's like, dog, you're gonna get the call. If they hit you on the arm, you're probably gonna get the call, especially in the playoffs. Like you're probably gonna get that call. You don't need to be. He was on the floor way too much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so like I said, he's dynamic. But if you New York, you got to win game 2. You can't go back to Philly 1-1 because Philly still is having trouble, I believe, selling out their 2 playoff games.
Yeah, I know that I saw something about
York,
like we're not
New York
giving
basically
tickets.
Took over.
Yeah, I saw something about like you have to live in a certain zip code or something to get the tickets in. You
got to live in a greater Philadelphia area, maybe extended out to South Jersey, but probably anybody north of New Brunswick, anybody going towards the city, they're gonna be like, because like the Philly, like Jersey from Trenton south is like basically East Philadelphia, like that, like all Phillies fans, they're Flyers fans, they're Eagles fans, but once you get to like north of Trenton and to like New Brunswick, where Rutgers is, and obviously further North Jersey, it becomes more of a New York fan base. So I think they want to keep people from this general area that I'm in here trying to fill it. Because I think it was a real problem from last year having 60-40 New York fans in their building, and then you're going back up 95 to play at the Garden, and it's 95 for their fans. So it's like, but you got to sell it out. The owner probably doesn't care who's in there as long as the tickets are bought.
Yeah, I'm looking for Maxey for about 31 tomorrow. I think he has to take over. And B can only do so much as far as moving and if his jumper's not falling, because he's not going to have the size advantage in this series the way that he had it against Boston. Because when you look at that series, Vucevic was too slow. Cato was too little. Garza was too slew-footed. So Embiid just had a time against these Boston defenders. So I think that, the Knicks are going to offer more resistance. And we're at the end of the third, Detroit up 80-76. I think that from that standpoint, actually scratch that three-pointer at the buzzer, 83-76.
I think Missoula kind of shot himself in the foot because he didn't trust his bench. I think even with Vucevic being a little slow-footed, at least he's another body out there. He's 2-3 fouls, whatever you want to allow him to get.
He can pull Embiid out of the paint.
He can stretch the floor. Even if Embiid doesn't want to guard him, maybe he gets an extra half second to shoot that open three. Maybe these things fall, but he shortened his bench. He brought Pritchard in. I don't know. I think you have to have a certain sense of urgency when you are up 3-1 and now you're having this game 7 at home. So you want to evaluate stuff because Vucevic plays a lot in game 6. Maybe he had an off game. But with a role player, you gotta like let them stay in their role. Like you can't give them 22 minutes one night and then 6 another night, a DMP, and like, hey, game 7, I need you to be the guy that's get us 12 to 14 points unexpectedly off the bench. Like you got to stick with whatever you got to, you got to dance with who brung you. You won damn near 60 games all year playing that way. You were up 3-1 in this series playing your way. I don't know what was up with Jason Tatum's knee, but I know he was sitting on the bench sick. Like, man, I did all this work to come back. And it's not even an injury that took me out.
And, but that's where like, I think that you kind of at times have to treat Embiid like a guard, So like back in the day when you used to watch Kobe, right? It would be like James Posey, you got him for a few possessions. And then, Paul Pierce is going to pick him up now. Ray Allen. I think you just have to throw bodies at him because he plays out on the perimeter enough that, say he's not necessarily down there getting his Patrick Ewing on.
You could put Derek White on for a few possessions back to back to back and just maybe he gets a steal because he's a crafty defender and he's, if I had to guess, was probably 6 or 7
9 for 26. Derek White was in game 7.
But he was aggressive. I mean,
he was, but I need you to make a shot, and that's why Boston never put.
You put him on B for a few possessions. Maybe he gets a steal. Maybe he get a run out. Like they put Drew Holiday in Portland. They had Drew Holiday guarding Wemby. Yes,
and he probably guarded Wemby better than anybody else on that team too.
Because he did the same thing Chris Paul did with KD. He's like, listen, I'm in your hip. Everything you want to do is right here. Any movement you want to make, yeah. You are 7 inches taller than I am, but like you can't do anything. You can't bring this ball down here because I'm waiting on it. So you got to stay and you got to play a little differently when you have a real crafty, undersized defender on you. And
yeah, Boston was
Derek White could have been that guy.
Boston was giving me real Houston Game 7 vibes.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was like, yo, all you need is a bucket. You're down by 1.
998 4.
And it was a few possessions. It was about 4 or 5 possessions. Yeah.
It was 5 bad shots. I think they got an offensive rebound and still put up a bad shot.
And there was one play where Jaylen Brown had somebody roll into the basket. I forgot who it was, but he passed it out for the 3 instead of getting it down low. And, I'm like, that's the type of stuff that makes the difference because in the 4 games that Boston lost to Philly, they shot 179 threes. Saying for y'all doing math out there, that's like 45, 46 threes a game. And it's not necessary because, yeah, you can get to the basket. You know what I mean? It's not as if Boston, and Jaylen Brown is the type of dude that gets to the basket. So it's not as if you're playing against the Warriors and you got little skinny Steph that's scared to come in there or, you know what I mean, something along those lines. Because even Steph would go in there. But I don't know, man. Boston, we'll get to Boston a little bit later. But, yeah, we got Lakers and OKC. That game has started, 20-19 LA early in the first quarter. So, Mr. Logical, I'm just going to ask you this question, plain and simple. How many games you giving the Lakers?
I know I did this last round when I picked Houston because I thought KD was going to play every game. I didn't think KD was going to miss that many games. OKC is just, they just have the advantage at almost everywhere with the exception of the experience level of your best player. I think the experience level of the Lakers' best player outmatches any of the, Shea's experience. But I think that's your only advantage. I know the Lakers play very physical defensively. Essentially, they're running out 2 guys who have the green light with Austin Reeves and LeBron. And then Kennard has to hit his shots when he's in the game because he's not like a dynamic defender. Rui spends a lot of time defending. Marcus Smart is just crafty. So if you're not getting 25 to 28 points from LeBron and Austin Reeves, I'm not sure what the scores look like. And that's
well, I know OKC came into tonight favored by 15.5.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's crazy, but in the same sense, it's like, where do you get 27 points in game one from Kennard like you did against in the Houston series?
Well, see, that's
because you're gonna need it.
That's what makes me think we might be looking at a sweep. You know what I mean? Like, I picked it in 5, OKC in 5. That's just respect for LeBron. But I was thinking sweep because even if Luka comes back, because, you know, they're saying maybe game 3, maybe game 4-ish, even if he comes back, I wonder if there's that Embiid effect where he needs that game to kind of get in rhythm, to get back into the speed of the game and those type of things. So I wonder if Luka's first game, you just chalk up as an L.
Well, I think one of the perks is Luka and the guy like Jokic, they don't play very fast. So, like Maxey with the hamstring injury, I'm worried because his speed is his weapon. Like his ability to get downhill quickly to the hoop, that's a weapon. Luka just creates space. So as long as he can move well enough, still handle the ball to create that step back and create that space. But even with that, it's like, how well can he defend coming off the injury?
Right.
How well can the Lakers defend? How a sweep? I don't want to say sweep. I'll say 5. I'll say the Lakers get 1.
So
I'm gonna say one of the games in LA, 3 or 4. So either they're down 3-1, either they're down 2-0 and they get game 3, but they go back to OKC down 3-1 and OKC closes it out in 5.
Yeah, so the problem that I'm having is for the Lakers to win this series, they're going to have to force turnovers. And OKC doesn't turn the ball over. You know, second lowest in the league, and Detroit's playing some great defense right now. I think that it's that old situation, that cliche where everything has to go right. Like, you know, we talk about football games sometimes, and it's like, what do they need to win? Well, they need at least 2 turnovers. You know, they need, 33 minutes of time of possession. You know, they need to limit the big plays, the explosives. That's what the Lakers are facing right now. They can't let OKC get in transition. They can't just hold on to the ball and let the anaconda choke you out. You know, they can't get crushed on the boards. You know, they can't not turn OKC over. So it's just such an uphill climb that every time you tell me, like if we were watching the game and the Lakers were doing something well and you said, hey, the Lakers are winning the turnover battle. And I go, yeah, but they're minus 19 on the boards. Like, well, LeBron has 36 points. Yeah, well, SGA has 41. Like,
but that's been the problem in the Laker LeBron era this entire time, is that they're extremely top heavy, and they rarely had a guy that specialized in something that made that particular guy's presence like a weapon.
Right.
You talk about, like I said, VJ Edgecombe for Philly. Young guy, explosive. You can get the ball to him around the rim. He's defensively active. He's running around. He's doing chase down blocks. Like, that's the special thing that he brings to the court. The Lakers don't have a guy that's not a superstar that brings anything special to the game. Whether it's hustle, whether it's ball handling, whether it's defensively, whether it's shooting threes off the bench. They just have a bunch of guys that understand their system, and I think they all play their role well. But when it boils down to it, it's like, hey, Luka's covered. They're rotating LeBron. Austin Reeves is off for the night. The ball gets swung to Kennard. Is he 45? Is he a 42, 43% three-point shooter? No.
But they're going to need.
And that's where your problems come in.
And I know this is the craziest thing that I've probably ever said on Sports Report Resort, but they're going to need DeAndre Ayton. He's going to have to save the day. Like, he's going to have to dip into his Wemby stash and become the shot blocker, become the force inside that deters OKC. But OKC gets a good enough whistle that even if he did, they would still come in there anyway. So it's not like
the wing defenders are going to get – Marcus Smart's going to get 2 fouls on guard and SGA. Austin Reeves going to get a couple. Rui's going to get a couple. It won't even get to Ayton. Ayton's going to get his fouls trying to guard Chet. Because Chet's not a physical guy. He's crafty. I mean, he has to wiggle his way in. Hartenstein's a big body. So it's just too much. It's just too much.
So who do you – so if you're JJ Redick, who do you put LeBron on?
Blue Dort. And I think with LeBron, he plays a lot of center field, a lot like Draymond. Just kind of pointing guys. They switch a lot of stuff up top so he doesn't have to run far. So he pretty much is free throw line extended. He gets to the middle of the free throw line. They switch it. He'll slide back out to the guy on the wing. That way, I think it's like they play like a matchup zone, I guess. Because I see him a lot of times. He doesn't chase anyone across the court. Once he gets to a certain point, he was like, all right, you got it. I'm going back over here. And he'll slide back.
No, this is one of the worst technicals I've seen in some time.
For what?
Duncan Robinson hits a shot, and he turns, not looking. He turns, he bumps Harden, and then Harden just gave him a quick little 1-2, and then they gave Harden the tech, and I'm just like, come on, ref, this is the playoffs.
Secaucus, where they do the reviews, they should be nah, take that off.
Well, that was who they reviewed it, and he got the tech. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but
I just reviewed in slow motion, and it looks like this.
Well, that's why people call it's stuff like that. Why people call the NBA soft? You know what I mean? Especially coming from where we came from. But I think that for the Lakers, realistically, though, this is the worst possible team that they could have got. OKC, I think more than not, is just going to run them off the floor. So in the 31-26 OKC. Cleveland and Detroit series that I'm watching right now. Oh, yeah, both of us got Lakers in 5, it sounds like. So Cleveland and Detroit. So, look, man, I don't know what James Harden, what goes through his mind. Has he never talked to a sports psychologist before? Every time I look at this man, he's either turning the ball over or he's trying to turn the ball over. Kenny Atkinson might be coaching for his job. I think if they lose this series, and if they lose it badly, so I'll say anything less than 6, I think he's gone. I think that, obviously JB Bickerstaff has the chip on his shoulder. This is the team that fired him to bring in Atkinson.
After a successful season, yeah.
Yeah, and listening to Detroit's players, they definitely want to win this for their coach. So, that's already dangerous gas right there. But just looking at this game, Donovan Mitchell takes some of the worst shots. And, it's not even like he's 6'7", 6'8", where he's going to elevate over somebody the way that a Jason Tatum does. He just does things in some. I guess he just makes it enough to where he thinks he can get away with it. But when I look at this series, the first question that comes to mind, and this goes back to the Kenny Atkinson thing. If Franz Wagner didn't get hurt, would Detroit even be here right now? If the answer to that question is no, then you definitely can't lose to this team. But Cleveland's doing everything wrong. The turnovers, so you can't let Detroit get easy buckets. Make Detroit run that half-court offense. Make them pass the ball around and have to take shots late in the shot clock versus just letting them get out in the open floor, finding Duncan Robinson, by himself. And why are you not punishing Duncan Robinson? You know what I mean? You can't hide Duncan Robinson enough to where someone I remember 2016 NBA Finals, they talked to LeBron James and they said, you guys are really going at Steph. And I think it was J.R. Smith or someone said, hey, whoever Steph got, green light. Like just so wherever Duncan Robinson is, that's where the ball needs to be. You know what I mean? Whether that's Mitchell, like he's guarding Mitchell right now, actually. You know what I mean? So
right at him.
Yeah, he did, but he missed a dumb shot. You know what I mean? And these refs are letting him play. Like, I like it. But I don't know, man. So I came into this series. Obviously, I want Cleveland to win because they were one of my picks early in the season. But I don't know if Cleveland has the basketball IQ to actually pull this off.
It's unfortunate that James Harden has like this playoff stigma because we see it's tough. I mean, Boston was a 2 seed. They went out in the first round. Jokic had probably arguably one of the best seasons of any MVP candidate this season. They went out in the first round with, a couple of role players for Minnesota not available.
With him averaging a triple-double.
Yeah, so like you just go out of the playoffs. The problem with James is that I think he's tried to play. I think he switched his style up too early.
Okay.
I think he should have stuck with the Houston James Harden style until he could no longer do it. Like LeBron stayed on LeBron's path until it was like, all right, yeah. The energy to do everything I was doing from 2003 to 2021.
Well, that's kind of hard when you got Embiid in the way. You're playing with Kyrie.
But he chose those locations. That's what I'm saying.
And then the Clippers
places. Yeah, but he picked those places. That's what I mean. I think he should have stayed with his opportunity to be the guy, to be the number one guy, stay there. Not necessarily stay in Houston, but go somewhere where you could be the man. Whether you leave Houston and go to Phoenix and you're the man, whatever the case may be. But I think he switched it up to the point where it's like, this is not what he does. That's why he has so many turnovers. Because he's used to just, if he played the way he played in Houston, up until it was, like I said, it was physically just too much of a toll, or it was getting to that point, it was like, all right, my usage rate is too high. Then you switch it up. Like Tim Duncan didn't old management until it was like, all right, we're getting close to you having about a quarter tank of gas left. Let's put it in smart mode, drive a little slower. Let's get in the right lane, but we're still going to effectively get you there. I think James Harden did it too early, trying to be on everybody's team. And I think he wasted some really, really good years that could have extended his prime a little bit.
And you see, when I turned this on, I told you that the Lakers were up 4, right? Correct. Down 10 now, just like that. Just like that. Yeah, I mean, there's something to what you're saying, but I also think that James Harden, when he was in Houston, so let's go backwards. So when he was in Houston, he was doing, such awesome things, 60-point triple-doubles. He became a true point guard at that time. And I feel like before they got Chris Paul, they just did a crappy job of, we think that you're a great player and your style is going to take us to a championship no matter who we put around you. So I don't say that to knock Trevor Ariza. I don't say that to knock PJ Tucker. But more so Ariza was like an actual piece that Houston was relying on. So then they got Chris Paul. He gets hurt before Game 7 against Golden State, because they might have won that. They might have won that game. Then he goes to Brooklyn. He goes to Brooklyn, and when he goes to Brooklyn, they had him in the MVP race. Because Kyrie and KD, he
was in the MVP race because it's like, wow, look at James Harden. He's not shooting the ball as much. He's only averaging 23 points and it was like 11 assists, which is really good. But he did that because we that's when you and I used to have these conversations about the media hyping up championship expectations and making these guys make moves that weren't in their best interest of basketball. That wasn't in his best interest to go play with KD and Kyrie. It sounded good.
Then he ended up in Philly.
And then he ended up in Philly doing the same thing, being third and fourth fiddle when you have 1A skill set. If you play your whole career, and I understand the idea that guys, everybody wants to win a championship. I don't know that feeling personally. Is like, hey, I laid it all on the line. I didn't get it to a championship, but I would rather play my way, my style, and not get it versus conforming to this expectation that if I do this and I would get it and I don't get any closer. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
So
saying?
for
Like,
those
you
of you,
switched it all up and didn't get any closer. So you should have kept doing what you was doing.
so for those of you keeping track, with about 7 minutes left in this game, James Harden is at 3 field goals, 6 turnovers. So
It's gonna be
there you go.
46.
He's 3 of 10 right now. But I think that Cleveland does a good job. They did a good job throughout the year guarding Cade Cunningham. So my question, of course, going forward is who's going to – 6:30 left. So who's going to be the guy that consistently comes with Cade Cunningham? Like Danish Jenkins has been a godsend. He had to play when Cade Cunningham got hurt at the end of the season. And ever since then, he's probably been one of their more consistent players. Because going back to the first round, Duren was having a hard time. What up, Rez? He was having a hard time. And, so I just don't know who that second person is. I don't trust Tobias Harris, even though it seems that since he got out of Philly, he's been playing a lot better in the playoffs, but it can't just be Bickerstaff wants to win and beats this team. Like right now, Cleveland just cut the lead back down to 3. But on the other side, Cleveland got through Toronto that didn't have Emmanuel Quickly. So they didn't have their point guard, their maestro, probably the best shooter on their team, to give Cleveland those type of fits. We saw the Scotty Barnes coming out party. So I'm looking at 2 flawed teams is basically what I'm getting at, that Detroit was the number 1 seed. Cleveland
their flaws
was
on the fly.
Yeah, like Cleveland was mediocre, and then they made the Harden trade, so it kind of reset their clock. It reset how people thought about them because you didn't see enough of it during the regular season. But yeah, James Harden, just the same old James Harden is what we're learning right now. So, I just don't know, man. Like, I want to pick Cleveland just because, that was who I rolled with.
I had Detroit in the Eastern Conference Finals anyway. So
2-point game. Harden at the free throw line for the second. I'm going to go with Cleveland, and I'm going to be a coward, and say that they win game. Well, I'm not a coward. I'm going to go say they win game 7 in Detroit. And I think this is going to be an up and down series where each game is going to be tightly contested. We're going to be seeing 4-point wins, 6-point wins, 2-point wins. I don't know if anybody's going to blow each other out because I don't think they can stop Cleveland enough to blow Cleveland out, and I don't think Cleveland can score enough necessarily to blow Detroit out. So tied game, 5:25 left. But if you had to put an X factor,
McCain just had the dumbest foul on the 3-point shooter just now.
if you had to put
hip checked Luke Kennard mid jump shot, it's like, dog, you're not going to contest from there. Just let him shoot that shot.
If you had to put the X factor or the thing that will decide this Cleveland-Detroit series, what would it be?
Does Cade Cunningham's 35-point performances go to waste? If he scores 35 and like everybody else sticks to their – because he averaged 32.5 in the Orlando series.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a number 1 seed. Your best players average 32.5 points in a series. You would think you're out of there in 5 with the victory.
See, and to my point about Cleveland,
they have to maximize his 35-point games, which he's gonna have. Like, I don't know what his stats are right now because I had to.
Well, I'm about to tell you. So to that point, I was talking about how Cleveland defends him well generally. So during the regular season, he only averaged 18.5 against Cleveland. Right now he's at 21, but he's 9 of 11 from the free throw line. So he's 5 of 17 from the floor. So, you know what I mean? And that's why, like, Cleveland has been able to claw back into the game because the refs are letting them play. So a lot of these calls that you would think would kind of slow the game down and get Detroit, off kilter, the calls aren't being made, so they're still able to kind of free flow and force Cleveland to have to defend them in the open court. That's the difference in this game so far. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Let's call it Cleveland in 7.
Go Detroit in 6.
All right, Mr. Logical. Can you answer me a question that I've been struggling with all day long? How does a guy like Victor Wembanyama, in the game that he played with 11 points, how does a guy like Victor Wembanyama go 5 for 17 from the floor?
How many threes did he shoot?
8, and he missed all of them.
That's why.
Him and De'Aaron Fox combined 10 for 31.
When you're a big, you gotta get. No one's gonna foul him. No one's gonna contest his 3-point shot. So the likelihood of him getting 3 free throws on the 3-point shot, if he doesn't make it, is unlikely. Because people are like, listen, if you're gonna shoot that, what am I doing? I'm gonna just stay in here. I'm not even gonna jump. You make it or not. So when that doesn't happen, you get run out rebounds, fast breaks for the other team. And then when he doesn't see the ball go through the hoop, you keep shooting him. And then he has to get his breaks. He has to come out. Then he works so hard defensively because he tries to block everything. So it's not like
he had 12 of them.
Yeah, but he's going for 20.
He probably had like 4 goaltends in there.
But I think I saw one because I think I started watching the second half. So after he already had the 8 in the first half, and I finally got to settle down, I was watching the second half. But I watched it on mute just so I can kind of just watch the game. But he tries to everything. And I think that's something he's going to have to probably, if I'm not on offensively and I take these breaks, then maybe he tries to turn defense into offense. But yeah, you got to give him the ball. But that was the argument that I made 3 years ago. I feel like they don't get him the ball to score. Like if he cuts through the lane, just throw the ball up. Let him catch it inside inside the free throw line, between the restricted area and the free throw line, and just turn and shoot. I don't know why that's not a simple play you guys just run. Little cut to the paint, arms up, catch the ball, turn, shoot a floater. Like those are guaranteed points. He can shoot 65% from right there off of that play alone.
You know who won that game last night?
The referees. No, I'm joking.
That's funny.
It's weird. It's very odd that he's not the focal point of some of those. Yeah. I get it.
The guy that won the game last night was Julius Randle. So you won't see it in the scoreboard, right? Because he went 8 for 20. So you won't see it in the scoreboard. But his presence, the Spurs do not have anybody that can stay with him. Castle, they tried to put on him. He's too small. He fouled out. He'll just bully Wemby if you try to go that route.
His face every time he got a foul call he was a complete disbelief every time.
Yeah, and I think that, Julius Randle is he's going to be the key to this series. And I don't know where the Spurs go, because they can't defend him. They found out that Ant was playing last night about 2.5, 3 hours before the game. So game 2 might look a little bit different because now they can game plan for Ant being there. But Ant must have that TO chamber because, I was thinking he was going to be out a couple weeks, and here he is again. You know what I mean? He just doesn't get hurt. Like, he just comes back. You can't get rid of him. He's like Michael Myers.
What, he's like 23?
Give or take.
Yeah, you remember 23.
But I think that Terrence Shannon, he's having his coming out party. Mike Conley turned back the clock with 4 threes.
Yeah, Vanderbilt. Hold on, looking at the game. I think he might have done some damage to his hand because they're covering it with a towel, walking him off the floor.
Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah, I didn't watch the replay.
Yeah, I got that game on my phone, and I got the Cavs game on the TV. So the Spurs, last night you still have to feel pretty good if you're the Spurs because Wemby, like I said, he went 5 for 17. De'Aaron Fox went 5 for 14. Castle fouled out. And you still had a shot at the buzzer to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, like,
but
you got to feel good about
like
that.
At home, you should feel good because you're at home and you're the higher seeded team at tip off. You shouldn't feel like you got like a moral victory because you played a bad game and had a chance to win at the end.
Well, no, Minnesota's a good team.
You should be more perturbed that you didn't. Their star player,
it's not like they was playing the Suns or something.
Yeah, he had 18 points. He put 11 up in the fourth. So it wasn't as if he was like back to old Ant the whole game and it was back and forth. He came alive in the fourth, and your guys didn't. You let the guy who basically you let him coast all game long, work himself back into the game. Julius Randle was a focal point, and then in the fourth, superstars do superstar things, and that's what happened. You can't give up a game, especially now. Like, you lost home court advantage. And we talked about the Wemby piece. Like, yeah, he's a 30, 10, and 5 assists and 6 block guy in the playoffs. If they treated him as such, like, I think Rez commented that treat him like a bonus player is perfect. I think sometimes they're too locked into the San Antonio system that they're not looking at the fact that, this guy is, I think Rudy Gobert 7'2". Or 7 foot, 7'1". So it's an anomaly to have two people that tall on the floor, but it's like Rudy Gobert could do nothing with Wemby. He couldn't do anything with Wemby when Wemby was 15. We saw those videos. He was cooking Rudy then back in that French gym.
Detroit cooking now. So are you giving Minnesota a chance here?
I'm giving them a chance. I mean, like I said, I went chalk all with most of the top seeds anyway, but I'm giving them a chance just because I didn't give them a chance in the first round. And now they have home court. You have guys playing with confidence.
Jaden McDaniels, right?
Playing like the ultimate level of confidence.
Like, he's an example of what you always talk about. Like, dudes like Patrick Beverly, we laugh at them, but they were the man in high school. You know what I mean? They were averaging 30 points.
30 points in high school.
Like, so this ain't new territory.
So the skills are there,
yeah.
They just they just need to get those 18 to 22 shots up. Shannon's playing well. I think their mix of how we talk about other teams that just are either too hot top heavy. I like their veteran leadership between Gobert, Conley, and Julius Randle. I like their
what
young
is James Harden doing?
Like, you'll never hear something like, "What is Mike Conley doing out there?" He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do every possession.
Yeah, see, there's your game right there. There's your game right there. Detroit 12 turnovers, Cleveland 20. There's your game. So I think that Minnesota has the Randle advantage. The Spurs have the quickness advantage, but it comes back down to what I asked a couple of weeks ago and what I said a couple of weeks ago. If the Spurs don't make it to the finals, whether they lose this series, whether they lose to OKC, it's going to be because their guards just don't shoot good enough, consistently enough. So Champagnie is the kind of guy that it looks great when he's wide open, or it looks great when he can just catch and shoot. But if you make him just take one dribble, the chances of him making that shot goes down exponentially. De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox can get to the bucket, but he's not necessarily what I would classify as a shooter. Castle's gotten a lot better, but I still wouldn't depend on him. Harper's a rookie, so he's been playing well, but you got to imagine that he's going to have a rookie moment at some point. So I do think Minnesota is live to win this series. I'm taking Spurs in 7. I think that Minnesota, I just love their defense, like the effort. You can't teach that. You can't count them out of any game because that they're like their defense is like the way we talk about Russell Westbrook. Like, they might pick up a lot of fouls, but the effort is there. They're never going to shortchange you.
Yeah. You're gonna get tip passes, deflections, defensive rebounds. But that's how those guys play. And that's like you said, San Antonio, those guards are big. Castle's a
They
big
are.
guard. Harper's a big guard. So I mean, obviously Wemby's height advantage is one thing. De'Aaron Fox's speed advantage. I just don't know I just don't know how they can't put it all together.
I mean,
That's
granted,
really
it was one game. I don't want to overreact. You know what I mean? And say like that they can't or they won't, or any of those things. I just think that Minnesota is the type of team that can make you play their style, make you play down to their level, however you want to word it. They're just the type of team that dictates the action. So that's where Wemby is important as far as San Antonio deliberately giving him the ball and having a plan of you're going to touch the ball every possession for this long. If somebody's wide open, kick it out.
From 3.
Once
you go 0 for 4 from 3, you need to get me 3 layups and 3 dunks before you shoot another 3.
Like, bro, just catch the ball at 8 feet and then turn around. Like, that's the offense right there. Just turn around. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Because Rudy Gobert,
skyhook
can't keep up with him. Like that's the advantage is that Rudy Gobert can't keep up with him if he's on the perimeter and trying to drive to the basket. But the difference is that you got to do that versus settling. You know what I mean? And it was just irking me so much last night because I was just like, I used to get into this argument all the time with people like, well, if he can shoot it, why not let him shoot it? It's like, well, he's like a 33% shooter. I don't know if that classifies as shooting it well, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you should take 8 of them.
He's just allowed to shoot it. So you see the highlights. So when you see the highlight package of a game where he scores 32 points, that's 15 rebounds, it's a lot of threes in a highlight package. But if you watch a game, it's like, you don't need to shoot that. Like a couple of his threes, he just dribbled into them. Like just dribble the ball up court, a couple of dribbles, side steps, set it up, and just pulled the 3. Granted, yeah, he might have that authority and that autonomy to do that, but it's like you're 7'5". I think they said he was still growing.
That's crazy. He must have took his Flintstones. So Detroit's going to win game 1 here, 111-101. Cleveland's just going to run out the clock. It looks like. So Harden's going to shoot anyway. A couple things to take away from this game is Cleveland might have to do something that they don't want to do. So Toronto did a good job of making Donovan Mitchell have to make the plays as far as the passing and all that. Like they got the ball out of Harden's hands and made Donovan Mitchell. Well, no, but Donovan Mitchell's not that kind of player where he's going to set up everybody else. Like he'll pass it to you if he's double teamed
out of it though.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. So I think that you want and Cleveland or Detroit snapped a 12-game playoff losing streak to the Cavs. But yeah, Donovan Mitchell's not the guy that you want necessarily driving to the basket with the intent to kick out though. And that's what Cleveland did a good job at. They did a good job at you're going to be the decision maker. You're going to decide who gets the shots. And the other part of that is Mobley has to realize how big he is, how tall he is, because a lot of times he gets pushed around. He doesn't look like he wants to contact. And this is a guy that won Defensive Player of the Year last year, but he looks like he regressed. So to your Wemby point, that's something that we've been talking about with him the last couple of years.
It's like, should he
they're
have
just
been
not
on
feeding
the block? I think Jared Allen, I think the defensive big and the stretch 4 in this current NBA is the cheat code. But when certain teams have it and don't deploy it the same way. OKC has it. Hartenstein, Chet. You got your big, your defensive big, and your stretch 4, and your stretch 4 also plays defense because he's young, young, energetic guy. It works. It covers so much of what you need to happen around the rim, offensively and defensively. And it seems as if Cleveland doesn't do that. Like you could put Jared on the 5, Mobley on their other team's 4, who a lot of teams are running a 4 that's like 6'7" or 6'8", and take advantage of it, but they just don't. And we, like I said, we talked about it for years. But also with him is like, I think even Charles Barkley said this one time, is like he's got to demand the ball. Like, and I think Donovan Mitchell said that I like when he is in that mode where he's like saying, "Give me the fucking ball" and stuff like that. But I'm like, all right, cool. Now you're in the playoffs. Give him the fucking ball.
Donovan Mitchell's like, but if you don't ask for it, I ain't gonna give it to you.
He likes that attitude in like November, December, and January. I like when he wants the ball, but like after April, ball's mine.
Yeah. So Orlando fired Jamal Mosley. I brought that up a couple of weeks ago as a possibility.
I think that was a Thibodeau situation.
Yeah.
No
and the names that I'm hearing,
fired.
the names that I'm hearing so far are Billy Donovan, Dusty May, and potentially Tom Thibodeau, since you brought him up. So here's one for you. So you remember how the other night you were talking about, Orlando scored 19 points in the second half. So, third and fourth quarter of Game 6. First and second quarter of Game 7. Detroit outscored Orlando 118-68. And and I've been talking about
the 19 points in the second half when you scored 60 in the first is inexcusable.
At home.
Just go back to the timeout. At the timeout, have an assistant go back with an iPad and say, hey, how did we get 60 points in the first half? I think we seem to forget. And then come back out with those plays because it looked completely different.
But also, don't cry for Jamal Mosley because word on the street is he might be the next head coach of the Pelicans.
I'll cry if he goes to the Pelicans. That's what I'll cry for him.
So like I said, if Wagner doesn't get hurt, completely different series. Why is Jonathan Isaac still on that roster? Like the last 3 out of the last 4 years, he's missed at least 18 games. Jalen Suggs, 31%. And here's one for you. In this series against Detroit, Jalen Suggs missed 36 of his last 44 shots.
How do you get that many opportunities?
That's the problem. Because when you look at the makeup of that team, who gets the shots? Paolo's obviously going to get the most. Then you look around. Desmond Bane is more of a shooter that's going to, he has to
he's a
just
chucker.
Get his shot. Yeah, but he's going to get his shot.
Create space. He gets the ball, and it's like, this is my spot. I'm letting it go.
Carter, isn't necessarily an offensive threat. And then Bistaste, I think that's how you say it. Same thing. You look at Anthony Black. So I think the move here is get rid of Jalen Suggs, promote Anthony Black. They could have got Javon Carter in there, play some defense and shoot a few threes. And I think that's the type of thing that gets a coach in trouble because Jalen Suggs is your guy, but you also have to know how to finesse that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't got it right now. You got to come sit down. You just can't be out here.
You got to come up with, packages. But
he's a great defensive coach.
Yeah, and it's like, you know what? I think we're going to go full court trap. So I want my rangy defenders in there, 1 or 2 scores. We're going to trap Cade Cunningham, get the ball out of his hand, make him give it up to Duncan Robinson early. Duncan Robinson's not going to want to do anything with the ball. He's going to try to get it back. There's 6 coaches over there. All these guys wearing Orlando Nike quarter zips. Athletic quarter zips. Someone has to suggest, hey, this guy's off. It has to be someone's job to tell the coach, hey, man, this guy is
where's the analytics dudes at?
he's missed 36 of his last 40.
Hey, coach, look at this PER.
Hey, check this out. We got a timeout, we got a TV timeout, we got an injury timeout, we got the reviews, all of these stoppages.
Right.
All of these stoppages, and it's this dude is cold. Let's get some energy in there. But I don't know why. Like, if I'm an owner, I'm like, yo, why am I paying 14 people or 15 people if you're only going to play 7 guys in crunch time at home in a playoff series? Why are all these guys
it's one of
getting
those
checks from
things,
me?
though. It's one of those things, though. Like I always say, right? Chicken or the egg. Jamal Mosley didn't put that roster together. You know what I mean? But he was there for 5 years, so he got enough time.
He did
3
watch
times
them
in the
score 60 points in the first half.
yeah.
And get up to a 24-point lead, and it started getting chipped away, and it felt like they didn't make any real adjustments
At home. And 3 playoffs, didn't get out the first round. Overall record 189 and 221. He's out. Masai Ujiri, hired by the Dallas Mavericks. You like?
I like it. I mean, he's in a particularly great position because he's replacing a guy that did such a terrible job. Like the guy did such a terrible job. Like the Luka trade still does not make any sense, even though everyone tried to. I don't say everyone. The way it's like you shoot a half court shot up 1 point and you make it. Now you're up 4 with like 2 or 3 seconds left. Yeah, it looks great because you made.
They made a deal with the NBA. You know what I'm saying? They got
like,
Cooper Flag out of it.
I still I don't understand the deal. Like, you mean to tell me
that's the question.
Luka, like, yo, lose weight, dog? Like,
that's the question. So for the next 8 to 10 years, would you rather have Luka or would you rather have Cooper Flag?
I say Cooper Flag just because he's younger, and he plays more above the rim offensively, defensively. That's it. I think Luka's gonna still give you 33, 10, and 10, but I would like a guy who's gonna at least be a pain in the ass to the guy he's defending.
Well, I think Luka's one of those force multipliers, where in that LeBron vein of, we used to have those conversations. You could put LeBron on 27 teams. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We had the Sacramento argument. Like, you could drop LeBron into Sacramento in 2018. They would have made probably the Western Conference Finals at least. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But
That's hilarious.
is one of those guys that, like, in his prime, when he was the force multiplier, he was an actual force on the floor. Luka's a great offensive player, and I think what he does, I don't think he can be matched by probably any player in the league, because people talk about he's not particularly quick, doesn't jump very high, doesn't run very fast, but he's still able to do everything that he does on the floor at an MVP level. It's a shame that he wasn't even on the ballot. That's weird to me. Like, I don't know why. Like, he wasn't even on the ballot. They did all the waivers to get him on the things. Like, he should have been on it, but that's neither here nor there.
So,
but if I'm thinking about it, I'll take Cooper Flag. I still think the trade was bad. It just happened to work out. Like,
so if you're Masai Ujiri, is your first move trading Kyrie?
No, because I think he could be your Mike Conley.
I don't want him to be my Mike Conley.
No, I think he'd just be your
no, I know what you're saying. I don't want that.
Yeah, like your steady veteran who. Oh, he's still gonna put the ball in the basket. I just think he could be the steady. Kyrie in Orlando, Game 7, they don't score only 19 points in the second half. See what I'm saying? Like, I think he gets them settled.
Well, you got to get Dallas to the playoffs first.
They got a shot.
He's 34 now. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know.
He's I get it that,
but he's an injured 34. Like, he's been injured half his damn career.
Well, then that means he's well rested.
So I don't know if
he doesn't have that many miles on his legs.
I don't know if you have another opportunity to get value. Like, if he gets hurt again, like, I don't know. But
well, what do you move him now? Like, what do you? Who would you? Not necessarily who, but like, what type of player would you think? Because you got to figure the NBA. I don't know what his money is, but I imagine it's somewhere around 36 to 38 million a year.
But there's also the picks that you could potentially get out of it too.
Does that count towards the money?
Yeah. So he signed a 3-year, $119 million deal, so $39 million a year. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm looking around the league, right? So, I would say, obviously, fucking, Milwaukee better trade Giannis this time around, or else you could deal with them maybe, but they don't got picks. Yeah. I'm trying to find. That's the problem, is that I don't know what you get for Kyrie at this stage.
I mean, does Portland give you some of their young players and some picks? No. Does Sacramento give you anything? No. Does he have a no trade clause? We're not sure. Does Chicago make a deal? I will look at teams that fired their coaches. Maybe there's some.
Maybe Orlando.
Like maybe the teams that are looking to change it up. Like if we think, you said Kenny Atkinson in Cleveland.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
Think he's gone?
If they don't win this series, I think he's gone.
Is there any meat on that bone to where you can pause if you can make a deal there?
Send Kyrie back to Cleveland?
I mean,
you're a masochist.
How about making a deal? Either you're gonna stay. So for me, I personally think him staying is probably more beneficial. I think he does, because if you try to trade him and you can't, and now he has to stay, what's his move gonna be like? And people always say, "No, it's a business, it's a business, it's a business." We saw what happened with Lamar Odom
you saw what happened with Kyrie in Cleveland.
Clippers New Orleans deal fell apart, and he had to go back. We saw what happened with Dalton Knecht in LA. The dude hadn't touched the basketball in live action in an important moment since that trade got rejected.
Well, you saw that was what ended things in Cleveland as early as it did, because they want to get Paul George and replace him. So I mean, it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. So let's talk Boston. Where does Boston go from here?
I mean, I don't know with Vucevic. I think that might be a move you can make. You do have two major chips.
I want to say he's a free agent, ain't he?
That's Brown.
Yeah. Vucevic is a free agent.
So maybe you come off of Brown and get a haul from someone.
Well, Brown did say that this is his favorite year. This is his favorite year of his career. I know you ain't like that, huh? Since they won that championship.
I thought, because I heard someone talk about it, I thought he was going to say something like his favorite year was like his second year at Cal. Because I was like, somebody else was recounting what he had said. So as I'm listening to him explain what Jaylen Brown had said, and then he said it was this year. I was like, but I get it. You want to be the man. You want to be the man, and not. I understand that.
Yeah, this year for him. This year for him was validation, right? He was being mentioned in MVP conversations. They were the 2 seed all year, but just about.
This.
But you can't put that above winning a championship. You won fucking Finals MVP, and you won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
Yeah, he won everything.
That's what I'm saying. It don't make sense. I get it, but it don't make sense.
Maybe the grind was tougher, and that's what he appreciates.
Oh no, I think you should be his PR person. That's what I think.
Oh, you talking about the Embiid flopping statement? Embiid was flopping. He definitely could have. He could have not shot that 3 and laid the ball up, and like I said, given the points. But maybe I don't, like I said, I don't like this idea, but maybe Milwaukee and Boston make that trade. I doubt it. This is like fantasy basketball, which that's the part I like. But I think Jaylen Brown could be gone. I think some ridiculous deal that sends him to Sacramento, completely opposite of.
What's up with you picking on Sacramento tonight?
I'm just saying, I think they probably would be the most desperate team to try to trade for a superstar. They're in a great area, and they're in a great football market. It's a very popular market. It's a lot like we talk about McGuire and Travis Air Force Base. It's very similar as far as how many sports teams are in that general area. The major cities: San Francisco, Oakland, Sacramento. and they're just not getting any kind of shine or esteem off of it. It's like, yo, just make this splash, get this guy from Boston. He played at Cal Berkeley, you know. Yeah, but I don't think anyone's gonna make that deal. But it's like I think Boston is probably sitting down thinking we do have a tradable chip. And now Tatum, you're done playing basketball for right now. Now you can really see how much that Achilles or whatever knee injury you just had could heal, gets a full off season. Because other than that, if they would have kept going, they would have played, 20 more games maybe?
And then, 85% of fans picked them to win the East again next year. So where does Tiago Splitter go from here?
They haven't said they're not gonna hire him.
They're looking around. So from what I've been hearing from different places,
it'd be silly. Basketball is different when it comes to interim coach.
From what I've been hearing, Tim Dudon, he owns the Carolina Hurricanes as well, and he paid their coach below market value at the time that he hired him.
Yeah, seems like his style.
Yeah, they've been in the mix. They've won a Stanley Cup, and he still hasn't really paid the coach commensurate with his accomplishments. So I would think that Tiago Splitter would be the kind of guy that you would want to keep, because I can't imagine that he would command that much.
And I'm not sure if a guy coming in who's a candidate for a head coach position would, like, if you're new, if you're an assistant, we always mention Sam Cassell in coaching talks. If you get elevated to like, oh, I think
shout out to Baltimore.
This guy's the number one coaching prospect, and then you go meet with him, and this guy's not gonna pay you. You're like, I'm better off staying where I am versus coming up here and dealing with a guy who wouldn't buy T-shirts, makes the staff check out of hotels early, lowball. Like you said, he already lowballed the hockey coach, even though they're winning. Portland was an excited city, first time they're in the playoffs in a while, ever since Dame Lillard had left. A great basketball city, and is like, nah, I'm here to save $1 million. Like, bro, you have $4,000 million. Like, you paid $4 billion for the team. You're trying to save $1 million with hotel fees and T-shirts. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So, like, even Billy Donovan, like, who's been coaching for a while, is like, I'm not going to come here and pander to this guy who's going to just try to lowball me. So he's better off dealing with Tiago Splitter for a long-term deal, just because he's already in-house. Fans already like him. The players seem to rally around him. And he'll probably take the fair market deal versus an elevated one.
Yeah, so for those keeping track at home, that's the Chicago Bulls, Orlando Magic, Portland Trail Blazers, and the Pelicans are the current openings right now. So Toronto had an interesting series against Cleveland. I don't want to write the postmortem on them yet, but, it sounds like Grady Dick is going to get traded in the offseason. I think, just me, coming into the season, I was already a little sketchy about how Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett would look next to each other. Brandon Ingram didn't end up finishing that Cleveland series. But the East is it's still not the West yet, but the East is starting to get a little bit better, starting to ascend a little bit. You get Detroit, another shooter in there. If Boston does keep Jaylen Brown and Tatum together, obviously the Knicks, the Sixers, I don't know what they're going to do in the offseason, but, like the East seems pretty formidable.
I mean, you had Charlotte make their run. They probably had
Atlanta.
They had the best stretch of, like, what was it, the last 40 or so games. They were top.
Yeah, they basically, after the All-Star break, they had the third or fourth best record.
Yeah. So you have your opportunities. The problem that we're going to encounter, because it's the NBA, is that teams that aren't used to having the success are going to blow things up too early.
Okay, you got Halliburton coming back next year.
The Wizards are going to be wholesalers, and they're
they're already talking about trading Anthony Davis.
They're going to trade some team, like we'll say maybe Orlando takes a bite at that apple, and they're like, you know what, we're just, we can move this piece, and get AD in here.
Don't you wish Jalen Suggs on me?
So yeah, but that's what's going to happen. If these poor teams that tanked or played poorly all year don't end up with one of these top 5 picks coming out of the draft, like if Brooklyn doesn't end up with like Devonta or Peterson or someone to put on the marquee, they're going to be 17-65 again next year. So you're going to have some fodder in the East, but I do like what they got going on at the top. I said, hopefully, I just don't want any more super teams. I don't want any more 3-4 superstars. I don't want the money to match to where now we're only looking at 3 teams from the West and 3 teams from the East have a chance at playoff. I think this playoff run has shown that we need diversity of talent in the league.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's do something that we've never done before. Give me a second, because I just thought of this. So on Sunday, May 10th, that is, we have the NBA draft lottery. So Mr. Logical.
It's also Mother's Day. Don't forget that.
It is Mother's Day. I'm not going to forget that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we taken care of over here in the Alamo. But we're going to do something that we've never done. So call your shot. Who wins the draft lottery? Brooklyn. And I'd be damned if that team at number 11 wins it. Like, could you imagine Golden State getting? Could you imagine Golden State getting AJ Debacha?
Well, I think that would. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. That'd be odd.
Oh goodness!
But I will. I'm gonna say Utah. I'm gonna say Utah.
Oh, yeah. You would say Utah
gets the number 1 pick, and they take AJ Debonsa. I mean, he plays prep school there, his college ball there. It's very LeBron-esque kind of trajectory. Who I would like to get? I just want Brooklyn in the top 3. 1 or 2.
Why you joined the Knicks?
3. I just want to. I want to go to a game because this. So I was telling my dad this, right? I was like, listen, if I'm here and I want to go to an NBA game, and I want to see one of the West Coast players, SGA, Ant, LeBron, anyone like KD, they're gonna come on the East. They're gonna come on the East Coast road trip. They're going to play Philly. They're going to play the Knicks. They're probably going to play the Wizards. They're going to play Brooklyn. With the load management, no one's sitting out the game at the Garden. They're playing the game against Philly because Philly's always a good team. They're going to sit at the Brooklyn game. So if I want to see LeBron or one of these stars from the West play out here, it's going to have to be Brooklyn because that ticket's going to be a little bit more reasonable. We talked about I tried to get tickets to a Lakers game like for as Christmas gifts. They were like $800 for standing room. I think the Brooklyn ticket might be $250, $275, which is still high. But I'm not buying that for the Timberwolves, to sit in. But if there's Peterson's there, if AJ Debonsa's there, if Boozer's there, if one of these young rookies is there, I imagine that, especially Ant, he's going to want to play that game just so he can show the rookie, I'm still top young dog in this game, and I'm coming for young guys and old heads. So I would like Brooklyn to get a top 3 pick, but I think Utah's going to get the number 1 overall pick.
With the way that the NBA works, I wouldn't be surprised if Milwaukee got the number 1 draft pick. Since they're probably going to be coming off of Giannis. Because we've seen this, right? Cleveland loses LeBron. New Orleans loses Anthony Davis. Like, it just seems to be Dallas loses Luka.
Yeah,
like, no. So this is the thing.
Anthony Bennett.
No, this is
so
the
it
thing.
Wasn't like they had like a.
Well, I mean, that's their dumbass fault, but they got the pick.
Not like they had like a top
but
tier
the thing
draft.
about it is, so as I think about it, right? Because we always argue with people because we don't believe that the NBA is rigged.
Correct.
What's really the probability of all three of those things happening? You know what I mean? Of Cleveland getting that number one pick, New Orleans getting that number one pick, Dallas getting what was the probability of all three of them getting the number one pick the year that they lose their star?
Honestly, I didn't think about it until Luka and Cooper Flag, because Dallas was a good team. Luka was traded abruptly, and then they didn't make the play-in, and they got the number one overall pick. I didn't even think about it when it came to Cleveland, because they were such a bad team that I just felt like they were like when LeBron left, they were a shell of themselves. And then the same thing with New Orleans. Like, they didn't play AD. Like, it was like very clear that he was going to be gone. So them getting the number one overall pick, I thought the Knicks were going to get it because I thought Zion was so big time. Talk about that game in one of my classes when Zion, the Nike shoe blew out. Obama was at that game.
Right.
Like, Obama was at that game, the shoe blew out, and then Obama left. He was like, all right, well, I came here to see Zion. So, like, I thought he was a perfect New York Knick. So if the league was rigged, the Knicks would have got it that year. That's the singular piece for me that lets me know that the draft isn't rigged, because if it's rigged, you wouldn't send your most marquee player to New Orleans, who plays in the West, non-Eastern time zone. Like, I'm sending my most marquee draft pick for a while. I think he was probably one of the most highly touted number one picks, one of the most exciting college basketball players for a few years. I'm sending you to New York if I'm rigging it.
It would be funny. It would be funny if after the last month or so, the Grizzlies got the number one pick. That would be funny.
After the way we've all treated Memphis, even though
Memphis has been there. Would be funny. What if OKC gets the number one draft pick?
What's their probability? You still have it up?
They are right now. They are 12th. And I mean, Dallas got it as a play-in team last year. So
I thought they didn't make the play-in, right?
No, they did make it. They lost. They lost to Memphis in the play-in game. I'm going to go with Chicago. I think Chicago is going to win the lottery. Just from the standpoint of that franchise has been so downtrodden with bad luck. You know what I mean? Now this is their. Yeah, they got the GM out of there. They got the guy that was running basketball operations out of there. I think it's time for some good fortune in Chicago. Sacramento probably needs it the most, but I think if you get 1, 2, or 3, you should be happy with this draft. I think one of those big 3, you know what I mean? I would love to see Cameron Boozer go to Indiana and play with Halliburton. I think those two together would drive people crazy.
Yeah.
With their, the way they pass the ball, pick and roll. Memphis could be a candidate, if they're really coming off of Ja Morant, if they could find somebody to take them. How crazy would it be for the Miami Heat to get the number one draft pick?
Why is Memphis out on Ja? Is it just injuries or is it something else? Is it like another report that came out?
I think it's injuries and, just I think it's just a bad taste. You know what I mean? There was just so much going on that you just tired of the headache. You know what I mean? It's like you've been on your best behavior, but I can't sleep waiting for that other shoe to drop because it's been too good to be true. That's what I think Memphis is on. And they already think about it. They already traded Bane last offseason. They traded Jaren Jackson in this season. So it only makes sense for Ja to go. You know what I mean? Like, get the rebuild really going, get penalized by the new tanking rules next year. Let's see here. Who else? Dallas. What if Dallas got it back-to-back years? That would be crazy. But Golden State would be the one that I think would drive people crazy if they got it.
Well, I don't think it helps Golden State as much as, because I think when you say Golden State, you're thinking Clay, Steph, Draymond just lost Harrison Barnes, and now they're going to bring in the number one pick. Like, nah, it's not like them bringing in KD. I don't know if it works.
If I'm Golden State, Steph getting another year older, Draymond's another year older, I wouldn't mind landing on Darren Peterson.
I mean, I'm thinking next year. Like, does it help you in the 2026, 2027 season when you have a bunch of – I don't know if all those guys even coming back. Steve Kerr is probably not coming back, right?
I don't think Steve Kerr is coming back. I said that at the beginning of this season. I thought this was his last dance, no pun intended.
And I just have a feeling that, like, that has to matriculate through a lot of the players. Definitely the staff. Is Steph coming back with a whole new coaching staff? Is Draymond a piece? If I'm a new coaching staff, am I trying to figure out how I fit Draymond into my system? Because he doesn't fit into your general basketball scheme. He doesn't shoot well. He doesn't look to shoot.
What could Draymond net you in a trade?
He can go to the Lakers. He could go to a team that's like
Draymond for Rui.
Like he could go to a team where like they like cerebral players and they like players that know the next play coming, because he doesn't do. I don't think even though he's had like a remarkable career.
I think every team likes that.
Right? No, but I need you to also be like able to shoot and available to like run downhill and grab rebounds. Draymond he's not like an exceptional offensive rebounder. He's just a smart player. He just knows exactly how to get the Golden State system to go the way that it goes and has been successful for them for like the last decade. I don't know if I'm a new coach, I bring in my system and I figure, like, where do I fit him in? Like, he doesn't shoot well. No one guards him. He's not young. So it's like, what am I doing with them? So it's like you would have to go to a team like the Lakers or the Clippers, or a team like maybe like, not necessarily like this Knicks, but like Mike Brown's one of those guys. Is like, I like heady role players, but he wants to be a starter. He wants to be the man. He wants everything to run through him. So it's like, I don't know what team that makes the most sense for.
Are we ever going to get some closure to this Kawhi situation?
With the fake money contract? Nah, no, it's money.
Just done with it.
Yeah, we're just done.
Yeah, did you see that Ballmer's trying to buy the Seahawks?
Well, he's a Microsoft guy.
That's crazy,
and they
man.
founded together, so I imagine he wants to carry on his friend's legacy.
Yeah, so... All right. Well, on that note, we will get out of here. We will be back on Friday with some more playoff talk. Lakers still holding tough, down 8 at the moment. We'll see, if OKC can cover the 15.5 tonight. That's still crazy to me. But he is the world-famous, world-renowned, cool, calm, and collected. Born in Texas, raised in Virginia, representing everything New Jerusalem, even though you couldn't tell with that nasty-ass hat on.
Yo, bandwagon, son. Bandwagon. He got an orange watch on. Let's go.
He is Mr. Logical. Don't bring feelings to a fact fight.
Don't do it.
Down here in the Alamo, it's your unorthodox statistician going left so much you thought I was southpaw. I go left so much that James Harden is amazed that I don't turn the ball over. I am 2-5. This is Sports Reports is Ordered. We love y'all. Like, review, subscribe, share, rate, do all the free things. Do all the good things. Liquid Death in your hand. We are everywhere that you get your podcast. Say less, say more. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the support. Sports Reports is Ordered. Out.
Hey! Sports reports, no gimmicks, no clowns. 2-5, mythological, we run this town. Real talk only, no chasing, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout. Mic check, lights flash, game time, stay ready. 2 vets in the zone, keep the pressure real heavy. Big hits, big plays, yeah, we breaking it down. Truth rings in your speakers, every word is the crown. From the north side hustle to that southern flame. Midwest grind, west coast of the game. Sports talk kings, yeah, we wear that crown. Turn it up, let them know it's about to go down.